What's going on, ladies and gents? My name is Darth YouTube, aka Darth Buttkicker. We are in Queensblade Limit Break, the web browser made specifically for horny adults and growing boys. Anyways, we are going to be taking a look at the Arrival Summit. I'm an idiot. I'm just trying to riff and get a little better at these kind of like impromptu intros. Uh, I've been thinking lately though about intros and how I would create it kind of around like a Darth theme. I know I would want some sort of figure, force lightning, some sort of lightsaber through the screen. I don't know. Pretty cliche-ish and derivative, but I'll think about that. We're going to be taking a look at the latest arrival, which is Seiten, which I believe is the correct pronunciation of her name. And no, I did not look up the background on her either. I like things to be a mystery. We're going to take a look at this is just an overview. It's just an impressions of what I think about her. I do not have her, okay? I do not have a lot of the dual warrior. It's probably one of my worst attribute for actually summoning warriors. But don't let that fool you. Dual actually, and some of the whales will tell you too, that dual is actually a very powerful class in its own right. People are just sleeping on it because they're too focused on the fish. So that brings us to the overview of Seiten. I'll be giving you my impressions whether or not I think you should pull for her, but take that with a grain of salt because unfortunately she's going up against the powerhouse of the fish for the arrivals. And that is a no-brainer. If I have to make a recommendation for new players and other players, I have to say, unfortunately, if I'm going with the current meta, is to pull for the fish. But she still, in my opinion, is not the end-all, be-all. And until I can back that claim up, this is just my opinion. But anyways, she's always been a very good looker in terms of animations, honestly. I think she has latex on her for a bra. I wish more women would do that. Awesome. Power to you. I just wish we could get rid of bras altogether. Her spicy pose, super cool. Actually, she's just breaking her chain. What did she have? A little chain. She breaks her head chains. It's like, oh, I'm gonna break free and feminism and I'm gonna have lots of babies. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird, but anyways, the spicy pose is awesome. So, in order to give you an overview, we have to take a look at her skills, and I know this is kind of like a review, but she's a unique warrior. She's a necromancer, which means you would think that she would do some blood magic, some death stuff, or even have resurrect. No, not really. But anyways, her general passive is pretty standard in other things. Inflicts curse on all enemies if the warrior is killed. They need to clarify. I think that if she dies, she inflicts curse on people, pinning the necromancer. I don't think that this is anytime a warrior dies on the on your ally team, although that would be a cool upgrade. If anybody on your team dies, she just blasts cursed out, right? Cursed. Her third ability is actually kind of cool, so we'll touch on that in a minute. Her first ability, because I want to tie those two together real quick. We'll go to her last one. When triggering an active skill, grants the ally with the highest attack soul resurrection. For a support warrior, she's just a support warrior probably for attack and some other things. I'd never like it when you target the highest attack because most people don't build their teams around one primary DPS, at least not currently. I do in certain circumstances, but that's just my opinion on it. So she's going to grant resurrection. Basically, if the warrior under this effect dies, she's going to revive. And with the HP stolen from the enemy, who dealt the killing blow, she's going to restore. She's also going to do damage to the enemy. But it cannot be drained past 25%. Again, I want clarification on this. What happens if the warrior dies? She resurrects and deals 210% drain, but the enemy's already at 25% health. They need to clarify if this is like 25% drain regardless, or if you just can't drain an enemy past 25%. If she can't, a little bit lackluster on the skill, but it's still kind of cool. But her main attractions are these two skills here. Her first one where she heals 2 allies, man. Triggering on turn 1 for healing I'm never a fan of. They need to look into changing that. Even if the enemy goes first, healing should be reactive and counteractive, but I'm just not sure how I feel about healing and using your one heal on turn 1. But anyways, she heals the lowest HP, activates Soul Link between one ally in the back row and an enemy. The enemy is random. The link target takes 50% of the damage taken. This is a cool ability, especially if you're going up against single target people, or so I thought. When this ability first came out, I thought it was going to be amazing when I first saw her, because they didn't clarify that it didn't apply to debuff damage. And I think when she first came out, it did, making her the go-to person for Spider, the Spider takedown boss, because, or any boss, because you can link it to a random enemy, and if they're the only enemy, they're taking 50% of the damage. So they clarified it, apparently, and it does not apply to debuff damage. Still, though, I think that she'd be great overall against single-target bosses. I digress. But she also grants 15% damage reduction, which is damage resistant, to the ally. They also receive 50% of any healing. So it's a really cool ability, but targeting a ally in the back. So you mean to tell me that you're forcing me to protect somebody that I would put at the back instead of maybe my tank? This is a little weird, but I get her trying to protect some of the weakest people that you might put in the back. I think you can put your tank in the back. If you want the enemy team to target you, I think you have to have the lowest HP on the team, unless it's a warrior that attacks a specific row or angle. I'm not too sure on that. I'd have to clarify. Cool ability, but if it applied to debuff damage, she'd be OP as hell against single target takedown bosses, especially the Spider, on a 2-turn cooldown. Just saying. Now the third ability is also really cool. Grant some clarification is needed though. Deals 150% managed damage, whatever. 80% chance to inflict curse, and decrease 3 enemies attack by 10%. 10% isn't really a whole lot. They need to start looking at reducing attack by a little bit more than just 10%. I think 20 should be a standard. 25 should be a standard now on support warriors. But G123 needs to get better about updating the skills with the kind of HP, defenses, and things that they're giving out so that they stay kind of relative and keeping up on these kinds of things. But anyways, she'll also summon Abyssal Spirit. Abyssal Spirit, the warrior takes damage equal to 200% of the activator's attack divided by the number of teammates with the effect. Max damage cannot exceed 100% of own attack. Now, this is a bit confusing, but we'll go back up here and read this. When dealing damage with Abyssal Spirit, heals allies for 50% of the damage. This is kind of like it has reminiscence of B Sigwy, the dual version of B Sigwy, in that you can heal allies for 50% of the damage. Anybody that has Abyssal Spirit will heal for 50% of the damage dealt, plus receive healing bonus, so you can increase that. So she has a kind of like B Sigwy vibe going on. What I'm confused about is this here. When allies have this Abyssal Spirit, is she, as the warrior, taking 200% of the activator's damage? It wouldn't make sense to me, but basically anybody that has Abyssal Spirit is going to be punished for attacking. She's going to heal for 50% of the damage dealt, and then they're going to take damage equal to 200% divided by the number of teammates with the effect applied. I need this clarified, and I don't have her, so I can't test her, but I will give you a follow-up conclusion. So it's a really cool warrior. I think she's a solid warrior. She deserves to be in anybody's roster, whether or not you use it. Now, a lot of people are concerned about curse damage. They updated curse damage to be 30% of the user's attack, which is one of the highest natural damage debuffs in the game. Now, don't forget that they also, it's kind of like they gave the treatment to Nanelle on the physical. They actually gave the Elite Warrior Snow White the ability to increase curse damage by 30%, giving it a 60% of a user's attack in damage. Again, that's the highest single debuff damage that you can get in terms of raw numbers. I still think that the highest debuff damage goes to, again, they seem to be focusing on the win. If you don't know, and I don't have her, is Sakura, the Herald of Spring. I think she has the highest actual damage that you can get because you can pump up speed so much now that even though she gets a division by 13, you can still pump up her AoE damage really, really high. But that's just a side note. Let me know if you guys are going to pull for her. Let me know what you think of both her looks here. I think the spicy pose is good, but I actually think in this case I prefer her original pose. Are you going to pull for her? Are you guys focused on the fish, especially if you're a new player? I like hearing from you guys. What are you guys doing when you go up against something like this? Don't underestimate any warrior in the game. There's a lot of abilities that people don't talk about, which is why I kind of do these overviews. Again, I don't have her, but I'm going to pull for her. So I might do just a separate video. I planned on doing it here, but I have to run out. While I was doing this, I have to run out an errand before the place I got to go closes, but I wanted to give you an overview. So again, what do you think of the look? I actually think her original look is better. Are you going to pull? If you do decide to pull, my recommendation is and will always be the same. Pull your books. Just pull 2 of her. Get her to 8-star. And throughout the event, if you haven't already started, pull with some gems. Maybe get that 3rd one so you can take her to 9-star so that you can do the rank up event. If you get her to 9-star, you get 3,000 gems back. But also, never forget that the exchange that you get, or when you battle, you get a % increase. At 9-star, you get like I think it's 50%. 8-star is 40%, so you don't need the 9-star. But it's all about that exchange currency when you get in there. That's it for this one, guys. I will see you in the next one. Have a good night.